everyone, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time watching me, welcome. This video is something special. As you know, if you're watching this, Lavender and Speckles has a pre-order this coming Saturday, February 6th, 7th, 8th. I think it's the 8th, February 8th. I believe it's at 10 a.m. Central Time. I could be wrong on that. I did not even look. I'm sorry. But as part of the pre-order, she does samplers. And this one I have is the Coastal Pinecone sampler. I am so honored that Beth Wilson, who owns Lavender and Speckles, she asked me several months ago if I wanted to help with the Coastal Pinecone sampler. And I don't remember if I had said to her, hey, that would be a great sampler, or if she approached me. I really don't remember. But at the end of the day, Beth and I worked together to curate this beautiful sampler. So Coastal Pinecones, of course, is a house blend of Lavender and Speckles, and it is made up of two oils, Coastal Kale and roasted pine cones, hence Coastal Pinecones. So I love Coastal Kale. Coastal Kale is for the fresh lovers out there. It's fresh and green, little salty, little aquatic, but it is not like salty sea air. It's not like dirt or a plant or anything like that. It is a beautiful, wonderful blend. And I know a lot of you have tried it and loved it. I know Summer hyped it up last year. I've always loved Coastal Kale, and for a period of time, there were only a few vendors out there where you could get Coastal Kale. So when I realized that Beth had Coastal Kale, I think I told her a few times, that's such a good oil. Coastal Kale is just where it's at. So in here, this is the sampler that she sent me. The only difference now is this is the olive oil formula, and Beth is having some supply issues with getting enough supply to fill the samplers with the olive oil wax. So she's going to use her original wax that she started her business with, that's tried and true, for these samplers. At least that was the last thing that she had told me, and I'm pretty sure she made a post last week about this. But it will not be in the olive oil formula like we've grown accustomed to the last several times for samplers. So there's going to be 10, but there's 9 cups in here, and she sent me a souffle of one of the blends here. Let's start with this one. This one is Pine Cones and Cream. Now, I honestly don't remember if this was a custom of mine or if I just loved it or what, but I have some sort of connection to this blend, and I don't really honestly remember how. This is Coastal Pine Cones, Cashmere Cream, and Boom Boom. And it's gorgeous. It's luscious. I've warmed all of these except for this one. I've warmed this before. I didn't want to crack into this souffle. I'm saving it for a rainy day. But this here, oh, it's very, very, very good. You have the integrity of the Coastal Pine Cones. And if you haven't smelled Coastal Pine Cones, the Coastal Kale is dominant. You can get a little bit of creamy woodsiness in it from the pine cones. But in this particular blend here, I smell the Boom Boom. I smell the Coastal Pine Cones, the Coastal Kale, and Cashmere Cream is also Snowflakes and Cashmere from Bath & Body Works. So if that's something that's up your alley, this just lends a little bit of creaminess, a little bit of, I dare say, richness that it adds, in my opinion. But this here is creamy Coastal Pine Cones. So if you like Coastal Pine Cones, this one is a creamy, creamy version. So let's go ahead and get into the blends. Now, the theme to this pre-order is Pride and Prejudice, of course. And Beth has a killer list. Killer list. I bumped my cord here. I haven't even made my list. I've been busy the last several weeks. Between work and my personal life, and just trying to go on new tangents in life, and I'm reading more. I'm doing some other things. I haven't really had time to sit down and make my list, but I need to because my husband is having shoulder surgery on Thursday of this week. So I know that day is pretty much not going to be a day I sit down and think about wax. And then Friday and then Saturday is the pre-order. But I definitely know I am going to treat myself and buy a second sampler of Coastal Pinecones because it's just fantastic. Beth and I went back and forth on a lot of blends. We could have made, or I shouldn't say we, Beth could have made this sampler 30 blends. We had a ton of them, but we felt that the selection that we chose for this sampler are some of the best. And, you know, there are a few, if you have worked with Beth on a sampler, she always asks you for your opinion, if you need scents tweaked, if you think it needs a little bit of more of this, less of this, and how you feel. So yesterday, I actually sent a message to Beth, and I told her my opinion on all of these blends, because when I got the sampler, I've had this for a while. I did reach out to Beth last week and I said, hey, there's another really big vendor that is having a pre-order this weekend and everybody's attention is directed to that. So I'm going to wait until after that's over to do my video for the Coastal Pinecone sampler because I wanted to give it the attention that it deserves. And not only that, these needed to cure. You know, she just freshly poured the sampler and Beth's wax needs a few weeks to cure at least. So I had no problem using these. Just to let you know, I did warm all of these in my bathroom in my hot plate warmer. I did not put any of these in a tea light warmer, so I can only say how they performed in a hot plate warmer. I only use hot plate and tea light for the most part in my home. I do have my Sensia cord, and Beth's olive oil formula does perform well in that. But for this sampler, I kept it all in my master bathroom so I could really gauge how these scents performed and such. So the first one we're going to talk about here is, this is my favorite one, so we're going to save that one for last. That's just leave the suspense there. So this first one here is Coastal Pinecones, Palo Santo, and Clothesline. We wanted to have a blend where we did fresh and laundry. So personally for me, I have a tough time smelling Beth's Palo Santo. It's gentler and it's not as masculine or as sultry as some other vendors' oils are. My brain just has a tough time picking up on her Palo Santo. It doesn't mean it's repulsive or anything like that. My brain, it's just like vanilla. I struggle with smelling heavy vanilla scents. So Palo Santo, Beth's version, I don't get too much of that in this blend. What I do smell is the clotheslines and the Palo Santo. So my opinion of this one, will it focus there? We had it focused before. There we go. There we go. I told Beth that my opinion is it needs a little bit more clothesline from, other than, it needs a little bit more clothesline because how I feel it smells right now is when it's warmed up, the Coastal Pinecones takes over and you can smell a little bit of the laundry, and I feel it could use a little bit more laundry to it. So she's going to pour and add a little bit more laundry into this blend. Not that any of you guys know what this smells like right now, but I just take my word for it. I think it could use a little bit more laundry. And that's that one there. We also didn't name these individual blends just because for time purposes, yes. And then number two is all the themes and all the quotes and all of the names were already taken for a lot of the other blends. So I told Beth, let's just leave it as it is. And that's quite all right. If any of these are loved enough that they're adopted as house blends, hint, hint, maybe my favorite one, then maybe Beth can name them at that time. This next one here is Coastal Pinecones and Grandpa's Study. Grandpa's Study is from the Gilmore Girls line, or the Gilmore Girls inspired line. It used to be Richard's Study back in the day. And why I wanted this one here, this one was all me. I love Grandpa's Study. It's one of my favorite blends of Beth's. It's actually one of the very first ones that got me into loving her as a vendor. So what this one smells like is it has whereas this one is Coastal Pinecones, this one's Grandpa's Study actually takes the front seat. And Coastal Pinecones is there. It's a beautiful mixture of the masculinity and the sexiness and the fine things in life that Grandpa's Study makes me think of when I smell it. And then you add a little bit of Coastal Pinecones on top of that, and this is a beautiful, beautiful blend. It's very unique. Some of these I used the whole cup, and some of them I only used half. I will say a couple of these I warmed more than once, so that's why I've used up the whole cup. And then some of these I only warmed once. So this next one here is Coastal Pinecones and Glamp Life. Now I tried really tough. Not really tough. I tried really hard to look for the notes of Glamp Life. I know it was offered in the last pre-order or so, and it's an outdoorsy scent with pine cones and dirt and outdoorsiness, and it's a really, really nice blend. What happened with this one here is on warm, I can really smell that outdoorsy or glamp camping quality, meaning I can smell the dirt that's in it and the outdoorsiness. I don't mind it. I love it. But also Beth thought that it might be a little bit too dirt heavy, so she's going to scale back slightly on the dirt part of it, or that oil that's in Glamp Life, or adjust it somehow, because we didn't want you guys to just smell outdoorsy and dirt, because I know that's polarizing to some noses. But rest assured that there is Coastal Pinecones in here. This is a fantastic blend. These are all phenomenal. This is absolutely not bakery, not floral. It's just a beautiful, fresh, clean. We're going into spring here pretty soon, even though Mr. Phil said 6 more weeks of winter. We're actually having a mini spring here in Utah. It was 63 degrees today, believe it or not. But it's going to get cold this weekend again, so we're not out of the woods yet. But this is a beautiful time for springtime scents to be worked on and sent out. This is a beautiful springtime collection, cleaning day, rainy day in the summer, any of those things. This one, I really do like Glamp Life and Coastal Pinecones together. Next, we have Coastal Pinecones, Lavender and Lemon. This is one that was really important for me to have because there is another lavender blend in here, but I feel Coastal Pinecones, it already has a little bit of I wouldn't say it's an outright citrus vibe, but it can blend beautifully with the citrus department. Whether that's lemon, lime, grapefruit, orange, any of those things will mesh beautifully with Coastal Pinecones. So when we were thinking of something to do other than just lavender and Coastal Pinecones, which there is one of those in here, we wanted to add a little something special to it, so we added lemon. Lemon and lavender go beautifully together. If you've never had it, give it a try. In this particular blend, it is... If you've ever smelled lavender and lemon together, it's a very serene, gentle, crisp from the lemon scent. You can get a little bit of each. You can get the lavender, you can get the lemon, and every quality that each one of those oils gives. And then you throw a helping of Coastal Pinecones right in there. It lends freshness, it lends green, clean. I really like this. And when this warms up, this one lasts for a long time. Lemon throws like a dream. Lavender's lasts long time. Coastal Pinecones does also. If you've ever had Coastal Kale on its own or in a blend, you know that it throws like a champ. It lasts for a long time, so then you can really stretch your olfactory pleasure with this. I'm trying to think of something cute here to say. Trying to stretch your olfactory pleasure with this sampler because it definitely lasts a long time. This next one here is Coastal Pinecones and Frosty Nights. So Frosty Nights, I tried looking for a post in the group. I couldn't find the exact notes, but I know there's flannel, Bath and Body Works in it, and pine cones on its own. And then there's more pine cones, of course, in the coastal pine cones. I felt with this one here, it needed a little bit more of the frosty nights of the blend. I thought that the coastal pine cones took over a little bit too much. So Beth agrees, and she wanted to see how it paired, not paired, how it fared when it cured and when it heated up after sitting for a while. But I felt that the coastal pine cones did drown out the frosty nights, so Beth's going to take care of that. So the frosty nights will be a little bit more dominant in this blend. But it's nice and creamy and smooth. I thought there was peppermint in it for a minute until she told me there's no peppermint in it, but that could be fun to add. But I thought, maybe just add more of the frosty nights or scale back on the coastal pine cones. Coastal kale is it's such a strong oil. It's similar to anything that's lemon, any leather, anything that's super duper duper strong that can take over a blend. There's other ones out there. Those are just a couple that I'm naming. This next one here is coastal pine cones in sweet and herbal lavender. So basically this is just the two best lavenders out there mixed with coastal pine cones. What I like about this one is sweet lavender is most people's favorite, but herbal lavender is also really important, and you can't forget about that one also, because especially balancing with the freshness and the crispness of the coastal pine cones, I think the herbal lavender really does well in this blend. You can smell it as soon as it hits the heat and those oils get married in there. I really can smell. In one sniff, I smell the herbal lavender. In one sniff, I smell the coastal pine cones. It's just a beautiful marriage of all of these oils together. I really liked that one. This one here, I thought I warmed all of these. I must have thought I warmed this one. I didn't. I put it in the bag because when I was working through this, I put everything back into the bag after I warmed it, and I thought I did this one. But anyways, this is coastal pine cones and ivory soap. This was one that was my idea, and Beth was very interested in, and she liked it because it made the final cut. So there we go, ivory soap. Now, ivory is a soap that I grew up using. I love it. It's the soap that floats, at least it used to. I love ivory. It's very comforting, it's clean, it's relaxing. And then on cold, the ivory is pretty dominant in here, but I really feel that it's going to be a beautiful experience. If you like a little bit of soapiness, maybe this is for shower time or bath time, relaxation time. This is very nostalgic for me, actually. So those of you who are 40 plus or even younger, ivory soap is still out there. It's still made. I love ivory. It just is it's nostalgic. So I think that's why I wanted to see how it worked with coastal pine cones. A couple left here. Next, we have coastal pine cones and beach marshmallow. So, of course, we couldn't let a sampler go without blending it with beach marshmallow. Beach marshmallow, of course, is Beth's take on beach nights. I love Beth's beach marshmallow. She's blended it with everything, and it's beautiful every single time. I really like there's a lot of adjectives that we can use to describe wax. But one that I consistently use time and time again when I'm talking about Lavender and Speckles, either to Beth herself or to a friend or somebody who asks me, what do you think of this blend? Especially if it's a beach nights blend, the word I use all the time is how beautiful. Beth has beautiful blends. She's got a beautiful list for Saturday. She just has a very beautiful, graceful blending style, in my opinion, of course. And beach marshmallow is a beautiful, gorgeous blend. In fact, roasted pine cones and beach marshmallows is one of my most favorite fragrances of any vendor. So, of course, we had to lend it to coastal pine cones. So this is a beautiful balance. You can smell the beach marshmallows. It's strong. And then you can smell the coastal pine cones. This is a beautiful blend. This one might even make a house blend. Who knows? Final one here. This isn't too long of a video because there's only 10 blends to talk about. But this one is my absolute favorite of the bunch. This one is Coastal Pinecones Island Vanilla. Excuse me, Island Coconut and Vanilla Surf. I'm trying to read that one backwards. Coastal Pinecones Island Coconut and Vanilla Surf. Vanilla Surf I didn't buy when it was available, but it's one of those vanilla popular blends that everybody clambered over. I love the Island Coconut. It's a nice, beachy, fresh, warm, sunscreeny coconut. Not sunscreen, but it just has that warmth to it when coconut's used in beachy blends or such. I freaking love this. I love this, and Beth knows it. Island coconut is actually one of her favorite oils, she told me. This is beautiful. If you like coconut, you'll like this one here. You can really smell the coastal pine cones when it gets warm. When it heats up, it really does come through. But the Island coconut is there in every sniff. It's creamy, it's luscious. It almost reminds me of a little bit of exotic coconut, which is my favorite Bath and Body Works blend ever. That hasn't been out of the vault in 30 years. It hasn't been that long, but it seems like it's been that long. This is gorgeous. I love it. It's a nice tropical, sexy, warm weather coconut. So that is the conclusion of this sampler. I hope if you guys choose it, you love it as much as Beth and I do. Thanks for watching this video. Happy shopping on Saturday, and I'll see you soon.